Hello and welcome to Enterprise Friday on Enterprise Television. I am Kendi Bodun.
And I am Henry Igwebike.
As usual, we thank you for joining us as we bring you key stories shaping Nigeria today. We will begin with a brief review of the newspaper headlines and then move into our main discussion for today. You can join the conversation by liking, following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. You can as well share. Thank you. So joining us to share the matters we have before us is Emeka Madunago. He is a journalist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Emeka.
Good morning to you,
so
Emeka.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your
Good
time.
morning. Thank you.
Yes, so we have 4 newspapers on the desk right now: the Daily Trust, the Vanguard newspaper, the Punch, and the Guardian newspaper. But Emeka, I'd love us to take a look at a very salient discussion for today, and it's coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. But let's take a look at what is happening there. Big story: opposition rejects amendment Electoral Act.
Okay, we also have bag of cement climbs to 11,000 naira.
And also we have INEC shifts the presidential election to January 16, 2027.
Okay, we have Sharia Council to US. You can't stop Sharia in Nigeria.
Emeka, let's take a look at that. Very sensitive it is. Sharia Council to the United States of America. You can't stop Sharia in Nigeria. Emeka, give us a historical analysis of how we got married to this Sharia thing, and knowing that Nigeria is a country that is not in any way connected to necessarily any religious sect.
Thank you very much. Yes, Nigeria is not connected to any religious sect, but interestingly, Nigeria has always flirted. For many years, Nigeria has flirted with Nigeria has flirted with Islamic, or with the Islamic religion, our leaders. That was why former president, former military dictator, Babangida, dragged us into the Organization for Islamic Conference. I think 1986, without due consultations. And then after that, you've seen how, there has been this idea that Nigeria is an Islamic nation. Recently, when President Bola Tinubu visited Turkey, there was a tweet by the Turkish leader, Tayyip Erdogan, where, he wrote in his language and he referred to Nigeria, he referred to Nigeria as an Islamic nation. So even when you look at the Constitution, Nigerian Constitution, Sharia is mentioned in sections 275 and 277. It provides for the establishment of Sharia courts and their jurisdictions over Islamic personal law matters. Now, you can see that the Tinubu administration has also been flirting with Sharia compliant finance, which is called the halal. So all of these things show the tendency to, give the coloration that Nigeria is a religious state, a multi-religious state. Whereas Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. It should be clearly stated. Then when you now come to the issue of Sharia, of course, you see, it's just like you asking for, customary courts. We have customary courts across many states. So you say, okay, that rather we should also have Sharia courts. Now the question to ask is this:
Emeka, sorry to interject there. Emeka, sorry to interject. Is a Sharia court not also customary court? Because lots of people have argued that just like we have customary courts scattered all over the country, that in the predominantly Islamic states, that their own form of customary court is the Sharia.
That's what I was going to. The Sharia court should be like the customary courts. Because Well, give it to adherents of the Islamic religion. Yes, they want their issues to be dealt with in accordance with their religion. But of course, you cannot now say, by that same token, of logic, that customary courts are governed by, that issues at customary court are governed by precepts from Christianity, because there are alternate African traditional religion, adherents, and even people who don't belong to any religion, who also go to these customary courts. So that's why there has been this, there have been calls for caution that we should avoid dragging the nation into religious issues. That is better for us if we maintain a strictly secular state where there's freedom of association, because the Constitution talks about freedom of association. But of course, there are those who tell you that every state of the federation should have space for Sharia. It's all politics. When you begin to hear things like that, that is politics. Politics of dominance. Certain interest groups want to be seen to be the most vocal about promoting their religion, even if it infringes on the rights of others who are not adherents of religion. And by the way, there are adherents of religion who may not necessarily agree with the idea that they must, the issues, there are issues about them, legal issues that lead to court, should be actually addressed in a religious manner. So the debate continues. Now, to the U.S., now the U.S., those congressmen that put the report together have said that, that the imposition of Sharia in Nigeria has led to human rights abuses. That is quoting them, and that therefore, just like the U.S. Department of State's Counterterrorism Bureau said in a tweet some days ago, it said that Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Fulani militants, are desires of establishing, have stated clearly that they want to establish an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria. So, you see, that's why, a nation should be careful about a multi-religious state, should be careful about dabbling into religion. Government sponsoring pilgrimages and all that. So, a lot of Nigerians have called for the abrogation of such. If you want to go on pilgrimage, please, put the money together and go on pilgrimage. The other time, government said it put together 90 billion naira, to support a pilgrimage. That is unacceptable. Look at the 2025 budget. Capital releases were not given to so many ministries, but government still found money to support pilgrimages. Well, I don't care whether it's Christian or Muslim pilgrimage. Government should remove its hands from those things, and let people decide decide if they want to go on pilgrimage. Let them fund it themselves or find sponsorship somehow or the other. So now the U.S. lawmakers are saying that Nigeria must do away with Sharia. That is sort of demanding a constitutional review. Of course, the Sharia has to be removed from sections 275 and 277, of the Constitution. That also, that will mean that mentions of Grand Qadi and all of that in the Constitution will have to be removed. Now, that tends to be that that is an explosive issue, because already some prominent people in the north are saying that in northern Nigeria are saying that it will not work. But the sad thing is that some mischievous elements are now trying to drag Christians into it, saying that it is Nigerian Christians, it was Nigerian Christians who instigated that. And I want to tell them, like I told one of them, I said, you see, you may just sit down somewhere with a phone and tweet, what you like. But it's better you think very deeply of the likely effects of what you say. It's just like the stupid story in New York Times, where they said that it was a screwdriver seller in Onitsha main market in Anambra State who shaped the view of U.S. President Donald Trump in bombing Sokoto. I've never seen such idiotic, such an idiotic view. Anyway, the person who wrote the story, the people who wrote the story, were said to be two a penny, wannabe reporters. So those
are you still there?
not the kind of people, who write a story and allow such rubbish. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Can you hear me?
Yes, very
Hello?
well. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, that the New York Times could lend its reputation to, publish such a story. Of course, it is one of the sad things about PR masquerading as journalism, in today's world, across the world, even in Nigeria, and it's sad. So this is going to be a major issue, because what it means is that the U.S. has already said, it will impose sanctions, and certain things will follow. So,
and you think Nigeria would cave? Emeka, you think Nigeria would cave?
Well, Nigeria might beg. We don't have a choice, so. The government is in a tight corner. The government will try to negotiate its way or ask for some time, but well, it all depends on the which word do I want to use now? It all depends on how things pan out at that very moment. Because you saw when Trump called Nigeria a disgraced country and all of that, there were certain dynamics at play at that time, late last year. But it all depends again, because if he agrees with that proposal, that proposition, and Nigeria says no, we're a sovereign nation, we will not bow to that, there will be consequences. And Trump, the kind of person he is, if he's convinced that he should invade Nigeria and remove the leadership, of course he will do it. Yes, he will do it. I mean, he's not somebody, he doesn't look at, he's somebody who doesn't care about third world nations. Doesn't even care about his allies in NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Not talking about third world nations. Somebody who has been threatening to invade Canada, to invade Greenland, and all of that. To deal with Russia and all of that. So imagine Nigeria. Yeah. So it's all about how the dynamics play out. And I think the Nigerian government is all handling the issues with the necessary diplomatic tact, you expect. All they keep doing is scaremongering. An issue comes up, they first of all try to deflect, then they deny, then they look for whom to blame. That is tactic. But those tactics are just they're just rubbish, because they lead to nowhere. Thank you.
Well, if you can say that again. So how does this reply affect Nigeria-US ties?
Let me tell you, Nigeria-US ties, one, we are the underdog. There is trade imbalance. Trump has been using tariffs as a tool, right? And what he can do, one of the things he can do, because there's this talk now that Trump is thinking of using tariffs to replace import duty. You understand? To use it to. So, instead of charging you import duty, he will just simply slam 100% tariff on your country. So by the time your goods cannot come into the U.S., and you cannot reciprocate. Nigeria cannot say it's reciprocating by imposing 100% tariff. Of course, there won't be petrol won't come into Nigeria. Many things will not come in. Flour, wheat, and the rest of them will not come into Nigeria. So we are not in a strong position to put up a resistance. So the best way out is to try and negotiate. But of course, we don't have an ambassador there. And forget about an ambassador getting there. Getting in there before Trump leaves, in 2028. Just forget about that. That will be almost impossible. So we don't have an ambassador, we don't have a consul general, we don't have, we're just using propaganda. The money spent on propaganda, spent on giving to those lobbies, would have been used to take care of some missions. That 9 billion naira would have been used to take care of some missions, and these missions considered critical. But right now, it's clear our ambassadors, they are. We understand that countries are asking. Why are you posting ambassadors now? You are ahead by May 29 to be 3 years that Tinubu has been in power. So what are you trying to prevent? What if you lose what if you lose the 2027 election? What happens to the ambassadors? They will just be settling down when they are being asked again to leave, So they shot themselves in the foot anyway. Thank you.
They shot themselves, of course. Emeka, and still on the issue of religion in the northern part of Nigeria. Emeka, did you see that publication by the Christian Association of Nigeria? 19 northern states in Nigeria have agreed to return back to the former name they used to be called. That is a Northern Christian Association and no longer Christian Association of Nigeria. Did you see that publication? And lots of people would say, why are they doing this at a time like this, knowing that majorly Christian demographics in the northern part of Nigeria have been affected gruesomely? So why do you think the change is what we're observing now?
I didn't see it, so it will be difficult for me to comment because I didn't see the reasons. But
okay.
If I can hazard a guess, I think maybe there are some fissures in the Christian Association of Nigeria. Maybe they feel that the last few leaders of CAN, who are mainly from the south, have not really lent their voice, against persecution of Christians, against killing of Christians, burning of churches, You see how tepid everywhere has become. I mean, the last few. I mean, unlike when Pastor Ayo Jaffo was the president of, first of all, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, and then later CAN. When you had the prelate of Methodist Church at that time, Bank, and you had some fire, but since then it's been watery. Been totally watered down. The leaders of CAN, even PFN. Do you even remember there's a PFN?
Yeah.
You don't remember that there's an organization called PFN? They have, some of their leaders, are clearly in bed with the politicians.
Very well.
You heard some of them who have come out to say, oh no, there's no persecution. I mean, look at what CBN News, an American Christian outfit, said about Remi Tinubu, that she claims to be a pastor, but she says she opposes any claims of Christian genocide. I learned that she, requested to be part of the International Religious Freedom Conference in the United States, but she was turned down. Because of course they don't. I mean, look at even the way she dresses. Do you think the Christian women dress like that? No. I mean, she dresses like a Muslim. So how can you say you're dressing like a Muslim and you claim you're a pastor every day? I just think those are just performative titles that are just for politics. And you see, the Bible says God cannot be mocked. Yes, what a man sows, he will reap. I mean, if you're trying to use, things about the word of God, to pursue political ambitions, of course, you're going to fail. Because God is not involved in politics. God is not interested in politics. That is it.
Yeah,
so we wait and see how things pan out.
Yes, very well said. It's actually quite unfortunate when politics meanders right into religion and one cannot, decipher which is which. Exactly at a time like this, Pastor Adefarasi and many other pastors who have alleged that there is no Christian genocide anywhere, and this is not the first time it's been happening, so it's more like a culture. Imagine coming from pastors who are members of the Christian Association of Nigeria. So if you're wondering why the 19 northern states have asked that they should go back to the former name they used to be called, the Northern Christian Association, that is one amongst many reasons. Emeka, let's get to the economy. Right now.
When Adefarasi was chairman of PFN in Lagos, and let me just clear something that there is this tribalistic, this tribalistic tone that's crept into the church in Nigeria. Many of these Christian leaders, especially from the southwest, are tribalistic. In the way they run their churches, in the way they project themselves, they are tribalistic. I don't want to mention names, but of course, people have said it openly. I mean, because your kinsman, Bola Tinubu, is in power, you have suddenly lost your voice. But when Jonathan from the South was president, you carry placards on the streets. Well, if people call them hypocrites, well, I don't know which other word can be used. Thank you.
Well, lots of people will say that God has so much to judge when the trumpet finally sounds. But Emeka, let's go to economy for a bit. You are a landlord. Emeka, a bag of cement is now 11,000 naira. How did we get to this despicable level, especially at a time when there is a strong housing deficit? Civil servants today in Lagos particularly can't even afford one bedroom. Talk more of the 2 and 3 bedroom flats that is sold upwards of 70 million and above. How did we get to this level, especially under this administration?
Sorry, point of correction. A bag of cement is 11,500. I don't know where that person who wrote 11,000 said it's 11,500. And then by the time you add money for Okada, because if you are in a developing area, you know, you pay like 300 naira for Okada. So you are talking about almost 12,000 naira.
12,000, yeah.
Yes, almost 12,000 naira. You know, depending also on the terrain, you know. So that's why some of my people abroad, you know, when they watch some of these YouTube videos, a bag of cement is 10,000. And they contact me and I tell them it's not true. They think maybe I want to, you know, I want to take money from their pockets. And I say, okay, call the person now who said the bag of cement, send money to them. When they eat your money, you know, don't come back to me. So the thing is this, the housing deficit, you know, demand is what is driving prices. You see, the instability of the dollar. You can see very clearly that the Tinubu government has been manipulating the exchange rate. Yes, they tell you, because of weak demand for US dollar, that's why the US dollar has become weak. Because Chinese markets were on holiday. Because they just keep looking for excuses, but it's not true. None of it is true. The fact is that they've been spending money defending the naira, and in doing that, it still doesn't reflect in the market because a lot of inputs, you know, that we use in our manufacturing in Nigeria, in our local production, still come from abroad. Last year, Tinubu gave money to his cronies to import low-grade food from Asia. Do you know how many farmers were wiped out? I, for one, have not been to my farms for some months. Yes, I'm only waiting for the rains to come so that, I can just get somebody to clear the farms and think of what I can do. You know, now, since Tinubu has decided to be importing rice and all those things, so let's leave it for him. And then even Gary and all of those things. And another thing is this. You see, the capacity of these local cement companies cannot meet demand. Then to make matters worse, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has insisted on building concrete roads. And so you see that places pressure on cement companies to meet demand because demand from government can be so huge. That is also what is reflecting in the banking industry. A state governor can call a bank MD. Oh, can you hear me?
Very well, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
A state governor can call a bank MD and say, we need so we need 100 billion. And the bank MD will say, okay, so, okay, we'll give it to you at 50%. And the governor will say, okay, no problem. Now, you, an ordinary businessman, even a Dangote, going to the bank, and then they tell him, look, we can't, we can't give you. In fact, we even want to call in some of the loans, you took before. Because why? They have to service the, political borrowers. Every month there's allocation.
Yes.
So because of that, you see that people like Dangote, Bua, and the rest of them, they cannot but increase their prices because there's no stability in the forex market. There's no stability in the economy. And you see, okay, what about power supply? Dangote is generating 1,500 megawatts for his refinery alone. How about his cement industries? How about other businesses? How are they generating power? How is Bua generating power? So when you look at all of these things, what they spend a liter of diesel is over 1,000 naira. What people are spending on manufacturing will scare you. Honestly speaking, it will scare you. That's why you see many people are not going to manufacturing anymore. They prefer to import. But even importing now, the exchange rate is crazy. So, people just take their money to they just use their money to go and buy treasury bills, and mutual funds, mutual money funds, and just relax at home, collect the interest on top, paid upfront, and use it to go and enjoy themselves. Well, I didn't cause Nigeria's problem, so I will not be a victim of Nigeria's problem. So that's why you see all of this thing. In fact, yesterday on Facebook, the things I read, made me scared. Somebody was asking, how can shop rent for a shop or something, jump from 4 million to 34 million, 35 million? Even I, as a landlord, I was scared.
Yes, I saw it.
How will I was just wondering, how will I? Sorry?
Yes, I saw it. I saw the lady who was making such allegation and all.
I don't even know how we go and meet a tenant and move rent from 4 million to 10. I don't know how people muster the courage, but I'll be afraid. You get it? I'll be afraid because my conscience would allow me 34 million. And the funny thing, it is now affecting commercial tenants more than residential tenants. Because you see shops that are doing business, they will just pass on the cost to their customers.
Yeah.
Yes,
So who loses in the end? It's you and I that are losing, whether you're a landlord or not. After raising the rent from 4 million to 34 million, you are still going to go to that same person to buy things. And then now when the man increases cement from 10,000 to 12,000, you say, why? But you don't look at, it's just, a vicious cycle. The Tinubu government must do something about the economy. Is in a bad shape. Forget all the stories, all the lies they've been telling. The economy is still in a bad shape. A government has not been able to release capital votes to ministries since 2024. They said they will release 2024 in 2026, and they are still telling stories. They've not released anything. No. They said the 2025 budget will run to March. This is March. March is just knocking on the door. Tomorrow, February will end. By Sunday, it will be March. And the 2025 budget will end by Sunday. So there is nothing. What are they really looking at to say, oh, this is how we are going to shore up the economy? Nothing. It's just borrowing. You borrow your way to prosperity now. Look at debt services. 67% of whatever revenue you are making is going to debt services. So why are you deceiving yourself? You say, oh, money came in. That's why remittances, oil and all that. Please, first of all, my brother, whenever you see those figures, remove 67% first. Because those ones, theirs is on first line charge. They remove their money up front.
Yeah.
They don't forget that Buhari had sold a lot of our oil up front. So you remove that one too. How much is remaining for Nigerians? That's why you see there's no money to back up capital projects. It's sad. Thank you.
Very, very so sad. And little wonder the comedian turned jester Sheilo could not even defend where he is feeding from. Even when it was posed on him with verifiable facts, he couldn't defend it because there was absolutely nothing to defend. And that is the propagandist administration that we run today in Nigeria. We pray that things will be better, and possibly someday we would have a messiah, a leader that would come salvage all of the little issues we have and maybe possibly fix it for Nigerians and posterity. Emeka will still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Independent National Electoral Commission shifts to 2027 elections. Enterprise Friday, it is, don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
Thank you so very much for being back, and if you just joined us, this is Enterprise Friday reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State and Nigeria. Let's run to our main conversation for today, where we have it that the Independent National Electoral Commission has revised the timetable for Nigeria's 2027 general elections following the repeal of the Electoral Act of 2022 and they introduced the Electoral Act of 2026. Under the new schedule, the presidential and National Assembly elections will now hold on January 16, 2027, while the governorship and state houses of assembly elections are set for February 6, 2027.
Very true. Now, the Commission said the changes were necessary to comply with the new legal framework governing election timelines. According to the National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Kudu Haruna, the electoral body reviewed and realigned the schedule to ensure full compliance with the Electoral Act 2026.
The new dates replace the earlier plan that placed the presidential election in late February and state elections in March. Off-cycle polls were also affected. The Osun State governorship election has been moved from August the 8th to August the 15th, 2026, while preparations for the Ekiti and Osun elections will now strictly follow the new law. Party primaries will run from April 23rd to May 30th, 2026. Let's get talking. Emeka Madunagu still here with us. Emeka, thank you so very much for your time. Now let's get talking on election matters in Nigeria. Does this sound disturbing? Do Nigerians need to bother? Is there something to be scared about?
Yeah, well, of course, opposition parties are already saying that. First of all, the newly revised, reviewed, or newly amended Electoral Act, that is Section 60 and Section 84, a problem, for them. I mean, of course, look at Section 60, subsection 3 allows presiding officers to rely on manual transmission of election results in cases of communication failure, potentially creating loopholes for manipulation, and then Section 84, it restricts parties to direct primaries and consensus methods for the selection of candidates. So that means imposing choices on the parties. Parties should be autonomous. Parties should rely on internal democracy. Where they decide on indirect primaries, why are you now forcing them to consensus and direct primaries? That's all is illegal, because parties are based on commonality of views, people who with shared values. But when you now, try to force things on them, you try to foist your own idea on them, because APC has been able to corral a lot of governors and lawmakers into its fold. I wonder whether they care about the survival of democracy, because they should realize that PDP did all these things. And eventually, where is PDP today? They should remember that MPN, National Party of Nigeria, did all these things in the Second Republic. And the Second Republic collapsed. In the First Republic, you had all those issues about the Western region elections and all of this thing. And then the First Republic collapsed. So let them realize that, look, you see, power cannot reside in the hands of one political party forever. There are dynamics. There are shifting dynamics. And things will always change.
Yeah.
So if the All Progressives Congress thinks it can continue to hold on to, power, then it's deleting itself. You're talking about direct primaries, where it's registered members that vote for the preferred candidates. What if and then you're talking about consensus? That's an extension of what we've known in Lagos, Baba Sokwe crazy. That is the godfather in the party decides this is the person that will go. And to be frank with you, many people in the APC are already even showing apprehension. They are apprehensive. So none of the governors today can say that they will get automatic tickets.
Yeah. Okay.
If the party, who controls the party? Tinubu controls the party. Who has the membership register? It's in the hands of Tinubu. Forget you say it's with the party leadership. It's in the hands of Tinubu. So if you opt for direct primaries, it's secret ballot, so you wouldn't even know who voted for whom. Then if you say consensus, you can just sit down and say, this fellow, we don't trust him. He fought us when he was in PDP. Let him not come back. And before you know what's happening, consensus candidacy. You've already participated in the primaries, so according to the Electoral Act, you cannot go to another party. So I pity those running to APC and all of that. They don't know they are killing their political careers. Thank you.
Okay, from what you said, how do you mean that they are killing their careers? That's those moving from other parties to APC. Can you help us expatiate on that?
First of all, you are in PDP or Labour Party. You are in office, elected maybe as a governor or as a senator or as a member of the House of Reps or as a member of the State House of Assembly.
Okay.
Now, you are supposed to build your base. You should have a base. But these days now, there are issues of godfatherism. Godfatherism has now taken over. We now have the rule of godfathers. So when you limit, it to direct primaries and consensus, what it means is that it will be in the hands of a few godfathers. They have the membership register now. They have the ones who will have the say on consensus. You've seen the way they do consensus in the National Assembly. Those in support say those against say nay. Then the president will just say the ayes have it. How do you know the ayes have it? Are you God to know how many voices were ayes and how many voices were nays? Have you seen a station where a Senate president, there was presiding?
Okay, I think we lost Emeka there, and he was speaking to this issue of godfatherism in Nigeria and how that is really not going on well in our country. Lots of people would ask, why is this so in 2026 when other nations are moving far ahead, when other nations understand the rules of engagement and allowing for democracy at its best? Why are we having such an issue? Lots of people are very so concerned, and we hope Emeka would join us and finish up on this thought, because it's quite important. The FCT elections that was just recently held, lots of people would ask, why did we not allow this work, especially knowing it is a litmus test? Emeka, are you back with us? Thank you so very much for...
So what I'm saying is that, look at the revised election timetable. The parties are already complaining. Look at when you say you hold primaries. Just this April. Beginning this April. We are already at the end of February. You are not telling parties that primaries will hold in April. Logistics of holding party primaries, and then there are cases in court, because the judiciary cannot also be trusted to be impartial. There are cases in court. The weekend-led faction of PDP said it will hold its convention in March. Where will it hold its convention? Where will it prepare for party primaries? So you see, that one is programmed to fail. The Labour Party, yes, they are still innovating their national secretariat. They are still putting things together. How will they now organize members across 36 states of the Federation for all this voting? It will cost a lot of money. Then you saw what happened in the FCT municipal elections. Just about 17% voter turnout. So people will just sit in the house and say, okay, fine, let Tinubu and his party, let Tinubu and the other politicians, let them go and vote for themselves. It's getting to that. Look at what happened in Benin. The attack on Peter Obi, the Labour Party's presidential candidate. So if desperate politicians are still maintaining violent policies. Look at the FCT election. Somebody was killed. An agent of ADC was killed. Nothing has happened. INEC has said nothing about it. In 2023, 2 people were killed in Lagos during the governorship election. Nothing has happened. Nobody has been prosecuted. And then we've heard people threatening that anybody who will vote for APC in Lagos should not come out. You've heard in Edo State, the governor threatened Peter Obi. Why should we have such? You saw what happened in Benue State. You saw, what happened in Akwa Ibom State. Peter Obi was to, meet with students of a nursing school that called on him to help them. You are not ready to help the school. You now prevented them from getting help. You see this intolerance. They are the one that their politicians themselves will delay this democracy. Go and write it down. With their infantile attitude, with their delinquency, they will delay this democracy. And then INEC is just having a cozy ride. It is shameful, it is irresponsible, and it's unacceptable. Thank you.
Quite unfortunate, Emeka. I understand the emotions there because for a few that truly believe that Nigeria should be a better place, one would wonder why we are having such problems here and there. But Emeka, let's speak to the issue of Joash Amopito, Professor SAN. Do you think he is worse than Professor Mahmoud Yakubu at this point? Because he, of course, when he took over power or took over the position of INEC, he said that the losers would have reasons to congratulate the winners under him. But with the FCT council elections, it is not really what Nigerians expect. Do you think Joash Amopito, according to what some politicians have protested, should be sent out of INEC and maybe someone else replaced?
Well, I hope Joash Amopito has it at the back of his mind that the Northern leaders have said they don't want him, that they don't trust him to be able to deliver credible elections. He should have that at the back of his mind. He should remember Verdict 83, where MPN virtually overran the states and were just writing, FEDECO was just writing all kinds of spurious election results. And we saw what happened in October 1983. We saw what happened not long after the military took over. So he should bear it at the back of his mind. If FEDECO under then Justice Ovie Whiskey, had said no, had put it foot down and said no to the manipulation of the process, just like Professor Humphrey Nwosu did later in 1993, maybe the Second Republic wouldn't have collapsed. Because I remember when eventually FEDECO was taken to court, and Justice Ovie Whiskey was called. I was accused of having received 1 million naira bribe in cash in cartons. He said, if I see 1 million naira in cash, I will collapse. But people just laughed in court. But honestly, they didn't believe him. And you saw how that republic ended. So you see, Joash Amopito should also bear in mind that there are certain things that honestly give credence to the fact that INEC cannot be trusted. One, you excluded PDP Labour Party from the by-elections held in Kano and Rivers, but you allowed weakest faction of the PDP in Abuja. What kind of unbalanced measures are these? And usually the problem with people occupying sensitive positions in Nigeria, many of them tend to forget that the position is not about them. It's a position of service. And so you must be very careful to be fair to all. Yeah. You must be fair to all. Because the fact that you occupy that office today doesn't mean you will be in that office tomorrow. Yeah. At the beginning of this week, Kayode Egbetokun was the Inspector General of Police as at Monday. But after, was it Wednesday or Tuesday? Mm-hmm. He was asked to leave. He was about to be sacked. But I think some people begged on his behalf and he was asked to resign. So look, power belongs to God. The fact that you're sitting, that you're on a seat, doesn't mean it's an eternal possession. No. You can be kicked out tomorrow. You can be sacrificed. Yes, you can be sacrificed. When Lamido Sanusi, a central bank governor, turned himself into an opposition to the Jonathan government, he was sent on suspension. And at the end of the day, he was replaced. So, one thing, we must bear in mind, those in these political offices, those in these sensitive offices, like Josh Amupito, should be advised, remove yourself from the office and be fair to all. The revised elections, there's no need for it, because now you are saying, because some people like Atiku Abubakar said that the calendar, that the election in 2027 will fall into Ramadan, and then you revised it. But you haven't considered the fact that, how it will affect political parties. Even the APC, they are just doing their elective congresses. They've not got to party primaries. Was it not in one of the congresses in Ondo State that they started fighting and 2 people were killed? So imagine if just now they are doing elective congresses, that they are killing themselves. By the time they get to primaries, imagine what will happen.
True.
So we must beg INEC, beg the judiciary, beg the security agencies, be fair-minded. The Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, when he was CP in Rivers State, he looked away. He didn't put his foot down against politicians. He looked away. Now he's the IG. Will he put his foot down? Will he be instructed to put his foot down in 2027 elections? Will he? He didn't learn from the experience of former AIG, Joseph Mbu, who turned himself into an opposition party. He was an AIG, but he turned himself into an opposition party to the PDP, government in Rivers State. Fairness is what is needed.
Yeah.
Be fair so that you can organize credible elections. That is the minimum demand. So this revised timetable will not help anybody, not even APC. Go and write it down. You will see what I said. It will come to pass. It will not help anybody. Because there's just no time for parties to prepare. You are foisting, primaries on parties. You're not talking about campaigns. Where would they have time to organize? Where would they have time to prepare for all these things? It costs a lot of money. So what you're talking about is, at the end of the day, the candidates will be picked from consensus. And you are now picking and choosing which parties to allow in which elections. Why would you do that? Some people are even seeking how INEC will deregister the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. Why? And I ask people, do you think the food you eat today will remain in your body in the next 1 year? Do you wish for that? When because of politics, you are causing confusion and you are gloating, mocking others. Remember, you are a human being. You will face the same mockery tomorrow. It's the same thing. Power will shift. Now, I went to Chris and other civilian. Frank Oba and others, Degu and the rest of them, who were AIGs and DIGs and all that, they are now ordinary civilians. They will come and see what the ordinary civilians were facing. The things they refuse to do in office, they will now come and face it. And they will understand what it means. Power is transient. Josh Amupito, speak up. Stop this style. Help democracy to grow. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka. We can't overstate, some of these facts because they are glaring for everyone to see. Power is transient, and which is why whenever we have the opportunity to lead or to make changes or to make good, it's important that we take advantage of it, because you might not know how you might be of advantage, to the same law that you had made when you were in power. It's often said that, when we do those things in our closet, we should be very careful. Hopefully it won't turn around to haunt us, and that is what Emeka had to say today. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for your time. We truly do appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's about time, and we have to leave, and I hope you enjoyed our show for today. Please do well to follow us. You can read up on everything we've talked about when you visit us at enterprise.tvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike.
And I'm Candy.
Have yourself a splendid day, and we would see you on another episode.
Bye. God bless you.